Welcome to today's video. Today, I'm going to give you a secret to improve exponentially in a very short period of time, especially compared to the rest of the world. Let's dive in. Today, we're going to be talking about how to quickly get ahead of everybody else that's out there in society. I'm going to teach you how to get light years ahead of people in a very, very short period of time. And I like to watch people and watch what's happening in society and watch what happens when things are happening and when something good happens, something bad happens. Like, I'm just so interested in humans. And so I study humans a lot and I try to pay attention to them. And when you look out into the world, what do you see? Like, what do you notice? Because one of the things that I really am noticing, I'm noticing a lot of things, but one thing that's becoming extremely obvious for me is that humans are becoming more and more addicted to technology. And I don't mean technology in like a good way, like they're using it for business, or they're using it for them to be able to create amazing things. I mean that they're more addicted to their phones, they're more addicted to watching their TV, they're more addicted to playing video games, all of that. And if you can notice this, and you can find where you fit in the world, and you find whatever industry that you want to get into, you can dominate basically any industry and you can get ahead of your competition. And I don't like to view the entire world as competition. That's not really what I prefer. But if you run a business, if you own a business, you do have competition. If you are a salesperson that's selling a product, you do have competition. And when you see what everybody else is doing, I like to look at what everyone else is doing most of the time and do the exact opposite. The reason why is because that means that you're going to be an outlier in some sort of way. Like, I remember when I first started this podcast in 2015, most podcasts at that point in time were an hour-long interview episodes once a week. And I was like, I'm going to be completely different. I'm going to make 15-minute episodes 3 to 4 times a week. And when you see that I just decided to go a different way, well, I guess the podcast decided, because that stood out in some sort of way. And so what I like to do is look at what everyone else is doing and do something different. When you look at the average person, they spend 3.2 hours a day watching Netflix or some form of something on their TV. They spend 4.1 hours per day on their phone. They spend 2.5 hours on social media. 2.5 hours on social media. That's over 15 hours of their life over the next week is going to be doing that. And human attention span has gone down 33% in the past 20 years. So if you want to become a superhuman, do the exact opposite of what everybody else is doing. And this is the key part of today, is to trade your entertainment for education and action. Trade being entertained for education and action. When most people are looking at cat videos and trying to watch people, chug an entire Sprite on TikTok, you are becoming smarter. You're reading a book that can further your knowledge so that a year, 5 years, 10 years from now, you are light years past everybody else in society. You are taking action in your business while your competition is trying to be entertained by other people making funny videos. So you have to take a step back and just watch. Like, just I don't know if you've noticed, like I always watch people, but just watch when people are walking down the street. They're almost always on their phone. They're always just right here looking at this thing that's right in front of their face. They're so addicted to it. If you can step back from what everybody else is doing, you will be a different form of human in 10 years than everybody else that's been so addicted to this phone and looking at it. What I'm seeing people are doing is they're trying to do the opposite. They're trying to just hang out. They're trying to watch TV. They're trying to not do a whole lot. And now, I just want to be honest with you as I'm saying this too. It's not like I never turn on my TV, and it's not like I don't have a cell phone and I don't have social media and I use a landline. I use all of them, but I try to be way more intentional of how I'm using them and why I'm using them. So instead of letting myself fall into my phone or fall into my TV or fall into social media, I'm trying to intentionally use it how I need to use it, right? So for me, like I can sit on my phone when I'm waiting at a doctor's office, and I could be on social media, but actually what I do is I have, over the past, 7, 8 years now, I switched over to Kindle mostly. And so in Kindle, you can highlight aspects of books and you can highlight the parts that you like the most. Then you can go back and I can see books that I read 5 years ago that I thought were really good. And when I have 15, 20 minutes at the doctor's office, instead of scrolling on Instagram and looking at a bunch of bullshit, what I do is I go to Kindle and I read all of my notes of the things that I thought were best from books that I read. So I'm basically rereading books that I read years ago. So I'm trying to continue to see if there's a way to get myself to be smarter, to learn more, to grow more, to be better, instead of just falling back into just being reactive and just scrolling, right? I've decided to try to remove myself from all that. I've also decided to stop being more of a creator, or start being more of a creator on social media versus so much of just a consumer of it. Instead of me consuming on social media, the only thing that I use social media for now is for creating and putting stuff out there. I know that being on my phone and being on social media, all of that stuff makes me less focused and it makes me more distracted. In fact, I've noticed that when I look at my phone in the morning, it makes me feel more anxious throughout the day. So I'm trying to distance myself from that damn thing. And so I'm consciously removing myself from all of these things. If I spend 4.1 hours a day on my phone and I live for another 50 years, that's 8.3 years of my life looking at my phone. What a freaking waste. Staring at a screen, doing nothing with myself. And so recently what I've been trying to do is try to distance myself as much as I possibly can. I've told you guys over and over again in this podcast, when I'm at home, when I'm getting work done, I put my phone in a drawer in the kitchen. It's about 40 feet away. And so when it's not around, I don't tend to think about it as much. When it's off to the side and it's within arm's reach, it's an eyesight, I feel my attention being pulled towards it. I feel myself wanting to check that thing. I am not immune to the addiction of the phone, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to remove myself from that. And so, I check my phone when I need to. I go into the kitchen and I check my phone and then I put it back inside of the kitchen drawer and, I'll go back and check it in an hour or two. And so I've gotten my phone time down to around 2 hours per day on my phone just because of the fact that I do this. And I run my entire business from my phone. We have 30 people in the company, over 30 people in the company, and more than 75% of them don't live in Austin, which is where I live. And so I have to use it. I have to use it as much as I can to be able to, be in contact with them, do what I need to do. Sometimes instead of using Slack on my phone, I use Slack on my computer. And so I'm always just constantly thinking in my mind, how can I take action that move the needle just a little bit more in my life instead of just being entertained? So when I say this, what about for your own life? How can you take action that really moves the needle in your life? Whatever that means, whether that's your health, your wealth, your fitness, your relationships, all of those things, versus just sitting around and being entertained. Imagine if you fast forwarded, you're 90 years old and you're on your deathbed. Do you really think you're going to be like, I'm so glad that I spent so much fucking time on my phone? No. I'm so glad I watched so many funny videos while I was just sitting around and all of my life was just sitting there waiting for me. I'm so glad I was looking at videos while my children were, 2 years old playing and I just didn't pay attention to them because I was too busy on my phone. Now, I'm not saying never be entertained, but I'm just saying, can you just lower it a little bit? Can you remove yourself? Can you consciously just remove yourself a little bit more? Sure. I'm sure the cat videos that you watch are hilarious. They're definitely entertaining. But it's probably way better than a cat video is watching the sunset in Greece because you did take action in the past and created the life that you want. So it's do you want to watch cat videos or do you want to have a glass of wine while you're in Greece watching the sunset? That's a pretty easy decision, isn't it? The only difference is the cat videos requires no action. It requires no movement and there is no resistance to do it. Working really hard to be able to afford to go to Greece and to be able to enjoy yourself requires action. It requires intention. It requires hard work. And most people are not willing to put in the work. They want to take the easy route. That's just natural for us to do as humans. And so if you really want to change your life, if you really want to distance yourself from everybody else that's out there, you will become more and more superhuman in the coming years if you stop doing what everybody else is doing. If you decide to remove yourself from the video games, you decide to remove yourself from watching TV all the time, if you decide to remove yourself from being on social media all day, if you decide to start reading a book instead, if you decide to start spending some time with your loved ones instead, spending some time going on a run and getting your fitness better. People are all talking about the goggles that you can wear and jumping into the metaverse and all of that. I'm just going to be honest with you, and there's no judgment. For me, I'm just not personally taking a part of it. I just do not give a shit, to be honest with you, right? It's the universe that I currently live in, I don't need a metaverse. I love the universe that I currently live in. I'd rather travel to an amazing place than visit it on my couch with some goggles on. I'd rather eat pasta in Italy versus, play virtual tennis with someone that lives in a different country. So it's like, I see the way that it looks that humans are progressing. And I'm starting to go, like, I like to fast forward myself into the future as much as I possibly can and say, like, if this continues going, where are we going to be? If this continues to happen, where are we going to be? And then I'm thinking to myself, is that what I want? Like, do you really want to spend, like I said, if you fast forward to the end of your life, would you really be proud of the life that you built if you spent the majority of your time watching Netflix? Is that really like fully a life lived? Is that fully a life enjoyed? Were you fully present with your children? Were you fully present with your loved ones? I promise you this, you won't feel like it's fully fulfilled at that point in time if you spend the majority of your time doing that. I'm just looking at where the world is going, and I'm going, I just really don't want to be there. I don't want to put goggles on and pretend like I'm hanging out with somebody when I could literally just hang out with somebody. I don't want to look at pictures of something and move my head around to see it. I'd rather hopefully go see it myself. I don't care to scroll on social media. I care to try to make myself just a little bit better every single day. And so, you can see where the world is going. You can start to fast forward your brain, like, what is becoming of it? And can I start to plan ahead now so that I can get to work and distance myself from the pack and stand out in some sort of way? And I'm not resisting and saying, oh, back in my day. I'm just watching what's becoming and what's coming in the future. And I'm just trying to plan ahead to see where I could make myself stand out a little bit more, where I can make myself a little bit more outstanding versus just following what everyone else is doing. And if you listen to this podcast, you're not the type of person who wants to be the same as everybody else. You want to be different. Majority of people don't listen to podcasts like this. They listen to entertaining podcasts. They listen to comedy podcasts, which are great, and murder podcasts, which I've never listened to one. But you're here because there's a part of you, it's like, I want to learn, I want to grow, I want to get better. Because I know if I learn and I grow, I can improve my life, I can improve my family's life, I can improve the world in some sort of way. None of us are improving the world if we're constantly scrolling on our phone. None of us are improving our family's life if we're just constantly watching Netflix. The only way for us to do it is for us to consciously step up and say, what do I want my life to be? Look around you and say, is this something that I want to take part in? If you do it. If you don't, then do something different. And once again, I'm not trying to tell you, and I don't want this episode to seem like I'm trying to tell you not to entertain yourself, not to have fun, and to be some weirdo that just works and reads and works out all day long. That's not what I'm saying in any sort of way. Sure, watch some TV. I don't care. Sure, scroll on some social media. I don't care. But spend the majority of your free time, instead of being in front of a screen, trying to improve yourself in some sort of way. Having some sort of coach to help you get better at something. If you want to get better at a sport or get better physically in your fitness, read a little bit more, try to journal a little bit more, try to meditate a little bit more, work on your own personal self. Because if you work on yourself, the world will become a better place. You will enjoy it more, and you will help yourself. You will help your children. You will help your spouse. You will help the world around you become better as well. Ultimately, if everybody did that, I think the world would probably be a better place. So where's the world going? I don't know. Not really sure. I got an idea of where it's going. I could be right, I could be wrong. Ultimately, though, I know where I'm going. And that's the most important thing. And so for you to figure out what you're going and how you're going to get there and what you're going to need to do and not do to get there is extremely, extremely important. And so hopefully you will trade your entertainment for education at least a few extra times this week. And if you do that, that's how you will set yourself apart. So that's what I got for you for today's episode. If you love this episode, please share it on Instagram stories. Tag me in it, Rob Dial Jr., ROBDIALJR. And once again, if you love this podcast, you might have heard me say this over the past few episodes. I'm launching something pretty soon called Mindset Mentor Plus. And it was designed to help you take these episodes and fully integrate them into your life. And so each episode that comes out of this podcast, inside of Mindset Mentor Plus, you're going to get detailed worksheets, multiple pages with trainings, lessons, knowing exactly what we went over, helping you get better at it, going deeper into each subject. We're going to have journal prompts to help you actually take those, to write questions down, to journal through, to help you become better and to help you understand each episode and integrate them into your life. And there's also going to be real world assignments so that you can actually do some things to change your life and move the needle a little bit more, so that you're not really just a listener of the podcast, but you're a participant. There's also going to be exclusive question and answer sessions with me. There's going to be access to an entire community of Mindset Mentor listeners and many other bonuses, all for less than you spend on coffee every single month. And for some of you guys that love coffee and you're addicted to it, way less than you spend on coffee every single month. And so the founding members, the first people who sign up will get a discount. So to sign up for the wait list and be the first to learn about it, go to mindsetwaitlist.com right now to sign up. Once again, mindsetwaitlist.com, and I'll send you an email before we announce it anywhere else so that you can become a founding member. So with that, I'm gonna leave you the same way I leave you every single episode. Make it your mission to make somebody else's day better. I appreciate you, and I hope that you have an amazing day.